Our document is telling a remarkable story. The first Africans in Manhattan fought for their freedom and chose a unique moment to strike. But why were they given so much land and in what seems to be such a prime location? I'm heading back to New York City to meet with Chris Moore, an historian from the Schomburg Center for Black Culture. He suggests that it wasn't just economics that motivated the Dutch. In the mid-1600s, the colonists were running scared. Their military campaign against the Native Americans had stirred a hornet's nest of retaliation.
On February 25th, 1643, the Dutch had declared war against the Indians, and they were really set out to exterminate them. They sent a contingent of soldiers to New Jersey. They killed about 80 Native Americans that evening, then rode back that night, killed 20 or 30 more in Manhattan. Well, the Indians fought back, and they burned literally every farm north of New Amsterdam.
The slaves saw opportunity to ask for freedom and land, and in their hour of need, the Dutch consented. But the property was some of the most contested territory in the New World, an arrow-strewn no-man's land between the Indians and the Dutch.
So what you're telling me is that the political act was on the part of the enslaved?
They clearly understood the situation because they petitioned the government. The 11 men saw the situation, that there was a war going on. If ever there was a time in New Amsterdam to ask for your freedom, it was during the Indian War.
Chris tells me that as the Indian Wars ended, Groote and Christina's land was at the spiritual center of the earliest and most important African-American community in North America.
It's actually the first free black community right on Manhattan Island in 1644. Right in Washington Square Park, in Greenwich Village, in New York City, was really the center of freedom, the freedom center for this black community.
Chris shows me a register from the Collegiate Church, the first church built in the Dutch colony and the center of black Christian life. A church text known as the Kinderbook, or Children's Book, offers us a rare window on the life of an early African-American community.
In terms of information about the free black community and the enslaved black community in 17th century North America, this is a very important book because there aren't many records, but in this particular book it contains their baptismal records and also their marriage records.
Chris Moore has traced his own family back to the New Netherlands and to those free blacks who lived surrounding Groote and Christina. In the Kinderbook, he shows me something from his own family which also concerns the land in our document. I'm sure it will interest Mark.
Your document sent us on a fascinating journey.
I tell Mark his document is a priceless record of how African Americans won freedom 200 years before the Civil War. I also tell him that 2 years after being granted land, in the heart of what is now Greenwich Village, Groote and Christina took the next step in their life together, a commitment which extends all the way to the present day.
Here in 1649 is the entry of Groote Manuel's child, Nicholas Manuel. I consider him the first, in my family, the first freeborn African-American.
So you're related directly to Groote Manuel and Christina?
That's right. My mother told me stories about her family, and I'm trying to pass that on to my children as well.
So you were able to track Groote Manuel all the way to the present.
Yes. Look, I want to thank you for letting us investigate your story.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for finding out this important information.
What happened to Groote and Christina's land? In the 1660s, the British imported a more brutal form of slavery designed to maximize profits on southern plantations. And in 1712, a New York law prohibits blacks from inheriting land. This effectively ends land ownership, and a golden era of freedom for African Americans comes to an end.
Hi, I'm at the New York Public Library. They're at the forefront of a cutting-edge effort to take collections like this and make them available to the widest audience possible. How? They're going digital. I'm in the library's digital imaging unit, the heart of the operation. This is where all the items that are going out on the library website are photographed. These include rare books, printed ephemera, historical maps, art prints, and many other precious artifacts. This piece is a fragile map of Lower Manhattan from the mid-19th century. First, they take it out of its mylar sleeve. It's carefully positioned on the easel. Then, under the eye of an enormous lens, it's photographed and digitally scanned. Finally, the image is cleaned up and ready to be uploaded to their database. Once that's done, the original can be returned to the curatorial department where, for all practical purposes, it can be retired from casual research use. The efforts have paid off. In 2005, the website will receive 1.5 billion hits from over 220 countries around the world. In a culture where the click of the mouse is rapidly becoming one of the main sources of information gathering, the work of the library will open the doors for future generations and a truly global audience.
History Detectives will return in a moment, but first.
Want to learn more about the investigations on History Detectives? Visit pbs.org and explore expanded case files, stories from people like you, and do-it-yourself guides. Then, start a PBS program club so you can chat with your friends and family about the mysteries on History Detectives.
Next time, follow the History Detectives on a mission of mercy. What shameful secret was pinned on this medal?
It was awful to have found yourself pregnant without the benefit of marriage.
Are these bones the missing link to a long-lost expedition?
That is spectacular.
And why was this woman painted as the picture of scandal?
He said, that's her. She's the one they were fighting over.
Uncover the answers next time on History Detectives.
Watch the detectives.